Well, here we are at the gym, just after 7 AM in the morning, ready to go for day one. So let's get in there and see what I can still do. Catch you in a minute. Hello and welcome to another video. My name's Swithers, and for the last 100 days I've been working towards the 400-pound deadlift. So why £400? Well, it's always been a goal of mine, simply because it sounds pretty cool. So when I was finally able to go to the gym again, I thought, why not try this challenge? Let's see if we can get it. So step 1. I had to establish what I could do at the moment. So my best deadlift before this was 160 kilograms, but that was pre-COVID when I was training a whole lot more and a whole lot stronger, so I wasn't sure I'd be able to reach that now. So I went into the gym to do some deadlifts for the first time in God knows how long, and this is what happened. So 140 kilograms, not too bad, not too great. I probably could have done a little bit more, but I really didn't want to get injured on day one of this challenge. So 140 kilograms was the most I could do safely on day one. The most important aspect of training for this was simply not getting injured. If I got injured, that might be a week off, might be 2 weeks, might be 3 weeks. That's going to set progress back by loads. So this is where we move into step 2, which was just start training. So the entire idea of November, all the way from the 1st of November to the end of November, was just building up that base so I could train harder later on. Another thing I did during November was play with my deadlift stance. So if you know anything about deadlifts, there's 2 main ways you can do a deadlift. There's conventional, where your feet are fairly narrow and your arms are outside of your knees, and then there is the sumo deadlift, where your feet are out wide and your arms are inside your knees. So I did some experimenting with my stance, and I found that somewhere kind of between a proper sumo and a conventional deadlift worked for me, so quite a narrow sumo stance deadlift. Basically, I just don't have the hip and adductor flexibility to do a proper wide stance sumo deadlift, but this narrow stance really gave me kind of more power off the floor of the deadlift, which is the bit that I usually struggle with. So I kept using this stance for a little bit, and then towards the end of November I hit this lift, which was a double on 145 kilograms, which is obviously 2 reps at 5 kilograms more than I could do at the start of the month. So definitely seen some progress already, and we're starting to move along with it. So after November and this base building phase, we move on to step 3. Step 3 was just really train. I started to follow a program at this point, and the program is called December. It's run every single year by these guys on Instagram, and the idea of it is they have a session for usually every weekday throughout December, and the goal of it is to build your deadlift, so why not do that as part of a Building My Deadlift challenge? So I upped my deadlift sessions from 2 to 3 times a week to 4 to 5 times a week, which is where that whole base building phase came in. And all of the lifts were done off percentages of your max deadlift. Now I stuck my max deadlift at 160 to start with, and then once I felt comfortable with those lifts, I moved the max up to 170, so a 70% lift would now be 70% of 170 instead of 160, and then towards the end of the program I finally moved my max up to 180, which is pretty much bang on that £400 mark. There's a huge variety in lifts throughout this program. There were deficit deadlifts, sumo deadlifts, conventional deadlifts, rack pulls, like practicing every single part of the deadlift movement over and over again, building strength throughout the entire thing. And I really started to feel progress throughout this program, really felt myself getting stronger. I was making sure to eat properly when I got home so I could recover between sessions as well. And after a while of doing this program, I got to one particular session which called for a 90% lift. And I was working off 180 kilos at the time. 90% of 180 kilos is 162 kilos. And if you've been paying attention, my personal best before starting this challenge was only 160. So I had to just try and hit a personal best as part of a training session. And here's how that one went. So that was pretty cool, hitting the PR in a training session, and this wasn't the only time that happened. It happened a couple more times throughout. There was a 92% deadlift at one point as well, which brought my personal best up to 165. But then I finally got to the end of the program, and at the end of the program is obviously the PR session, the session where you go for your max lift. Now this would be the first time I'd properly maxed out since November the 1st, and I was really intrigued to see what I'd get. So I went to the gym. I built up through the weight, as the program told me to, and then finally got to the max deadlift for the day. I put 170 kilograms on the bar. This would be a 5 kilogram personal best at this point, and this is what happened. Now, that lift actually felt kind of easy, so rather than finishing the session there like a sensible person, I put £400 on the bar, so 182.5 kilograms, and I thought, why not just, finish this challenge right here, right now? So then I just tried lifting it. That is the very first PR session done. My plan going into today was to try and hit 170, and we absolutely smashed 170. So I chucked £400 on the bar to see what would happen. And to my surprise, it came off the floor pretty quickly. I just couldn't quite get that lockout. I'm a lot closer to my goal than I thought I was, though. That was an awesome session. I reckon another 2 or 3 weeks of training, another max out session, we can hit it. Let's get this. Now this was super encouraging at this point. I'd come to the end of the December program, but I was not very far off my goal at all. So the only thing left to do now was train some more. And I switched up the training again at this point, so I wasn't following a program. I went back down to 2 to 3 sessions per week, but pretty much every single session I did was super heavy. I was regularly lifting over 160 kilograms, which was my old personal best. I just wanted to get used to these heavy deadlifts now. I just felt like I needed to do more of them, get used to them, so that 180 wasn't too much of a surprise when I went for it. And I did this for another 3 weeks. I managed to PR again during this time, because there was one session I did where I wanted to practice what I was going to do, with the last lift being 10 kilograms lower. So I built up throughout the weights, and I put 172.5 on the bar, so 10 kilograms less than my final lift was supposed to be, and I went for it again. Now you can see in this one, I properly struggled with this lift. It was hard, I'm not gonna lie, and I was very tired afterwards. It was a little bit discouraging, because I was hoping this lift would feel, not easy, but easier than it did, because I still have to lift 10 kilograms more than this for the final lift. But I just carried on, trusted the process. I had another 3 training sessions after that one, and then I got to the second PR session. So on February the 9th, I had another chance at hitting £400. and that was it. I'd lifted 400 pounds. The celebration looks quite understated, that's because there are about 5 random people around me. Don't want to disturb them too much, but the feeling when I lifted this was just amazing. It's the best feeling ever, having all of that hard work over the last 3.5 months just pay off in about 5 seconds. It was brilliant. There are a couple of other comparisons I was super happy to look back at as well, especially this one. This is 140 kilograms on November the 1st, and next to it we've got 140 kilograms on February the 9th, so one of the warm-up sets on the way up to the 182.5. And you can just see the difference in how easy the lift is. It really does show the progress. So that's the end of that challenge. I'm now feeling the strongest I've ever been, but I am completely unequipped for what comes next, which is going to be training for a triathlon. So if you want to see some videos on that, then feel free to like the video, click the subscribe button, click the bell icon. You'll get notified when I upload future videos. Anyway, that's it for this one. Thank you all very much for watching, and hope to see you in the next one.